Hey, it's TDA, and today I want to show you Let Them Trade. This is a very relaxed, casual, cozy city/empire building game. Now, this game is perfect if you just want to sit back and chill for a little while, maybe even with a movie playing in the background or something. I've personally played through the entire campaign and I liked it quite a bit. The campaign consists out of 9 levels that are increasingly difficult and kind of follow along with a storyline, but there's also a general set of maps that you can play for a customized experience. You can make your own maps as well, very important to note this, and you can of course then download maps from the Steam Workshop in order to play someone else's maps. For this video I'm gonna go with the island map over here that's going to start us out in the middle of a set of islands, and there we go. Now let me tell you what you're looking at. First of all, nice little detail, we're actually playing on a kitchen table. Not entirely sure why that is, but it's kind of fun. I'm not sure if this is an actual board game. I haven't looked that up. It might be actually, considering how nice this looks. So if you're interested, I guess you can pick that up as well. However, we have a keep over here. This is kind of our main base, but that's actually not going to be the focus of what we're going to be doing. We have some money over here that we can spend on trying to develop our cities, and that is what we're going to focus on. And we have some quests over here that kind of can guide you through the game. I've played this enough by now that I kind of know what I'm doing. Famous last words. We're going to want to set up some basic infrastructure first. Now, the idea is to set up several cities that are going to be trading with each other, with each city kind of specialized into a certain type of resource, and then we will take it from there. Now, first of all, I am going to set up a city, I think over here, that is going to have some peasants living in them, and we can just place them down. Each of these houses will house 2 peasants, which we can put to work in some other buildings. For example, we can put them to work on a farm or 2. Now, each farm will need 2 people as well, and this will start building our infrastructure. Now, you will see in a moment that this will start building. There we go. And this will mean that our city will start to get up and running. However, this city is by itself just going to be supplying some food. We also want some wood, because we need wood for pretty much everything that we're going to try and build. Now we have some wood over here, so that might be a good location. But I also have a lot of fish over here that I actually want to utilize. So I'm thinking that maybe our secondary city should go... Well, actually we can kind of keep them close together, I suppose. So let's go with that for now. I am going to place another city over... No, actually I am going to be placing it over here, because I have a lot more wood available, so I can do that. We need some more peasants, because we also need to be employing people in the lumber mill. There we go. I want 2 lumber mills, I think. Yep. And we also want a sawmill, because this is going to saw that wood into planks. Now the sawmill is also going to need people to work in that, so let's make sure we add another peasant house to that. And now if we check out this city, you can see it's already filled up by 7 buildings. So we can't expand this city any further until we upgrade it through upgrading it over here. Now, in order to upgrade it, we're going to need to spend some more of our money. As you can see, we just went down from 10,000 to 6,600. And we're also going to need resources, specifically the wooden planks that we're going to be producing here. Okay, so I turned down the sound a little bit because I thought it was a little loud. And in order to make sure these cities can actually effectively trade with each other, we can connect up these road networks with, well, you guessed it, a road. Let's make a road to our castle keep as well, just for the completionist sake. There we go. And you will now soon see people traveling between our cities. You can kind of see the people traveling inside cities as well. So there's traders that are moving just within the cities. But there's also people that are going to be trading between these cities. Because this city is now providing logs, among other things. So this city is providing potatoes. And if we check out the peasant homes over here, peasants need both wood and potatoes. So this city is going to supply the potatoes to this city, and this city is going to provide the logs to this city. And every time they do that, you can see the first travel already happening over here. Every time they do that, they will be buying and selling stuff, and every time they do that, I'm gonna get some tax amount from that. Tariffs, yo, yeah. Anyway, let's not get into that, but these tariffs will be impacting my budget, and this is the way we're actually going to gain money. Now you can control the game speed. I typically just play at the maximum speed, because otherwise this game can be a tad slow. And then we need to discuss about some more resources, because these are the basic needs. So if you don't supply the basic needs, people will just leave your town, bad things happen. You don't want that. But the luxury needs will make sure that they get even happier and also start paying you more, which is always nice because the more money means, well, more money for us as well. Now, in order to make some wool and fish, we are going to need either some general areas over here or some fish. And we have that. We can place 2 more towns, which is perfect. So let's go ahead and do that. We are going to be placing 1 town, I think, over here. We can kind of take on this coast. We are going to need some more peasants. I actually can't place down the fishery yet because I need to research that, and we can do that over here. So we can see we have a couple of buildings unlocked. We can upgrade those buildings as well. But in order to actually build a fishery, we need to start some research. And in order to do that research, we need more logs and planks. Logs and planks are going to be very important for the early game, as well as the quarry, which is going to supply us with stone. So those are the 2 first things I am going to start up. Now, as I mentioned, we need logs and planks for pretty much everything. So I also want to look into upgrading this village over here so we can add 2 more buildings to this city. We also get an additional city trader and city transporter, which makes the trading a bit more efficient. Shouldn't forget to actually connect my town up to the network. There we go. And you can see some trading happening and the money starts to flow in already. In order for this research to actually start up, we're going to need to expand our castle, and we can do that by building a research center. I'm also going to need a provisioner, which will allow my knight that I have, this is this guy over here, that we can move out into the plains if we need to explore, but it won't be able to explore without any provisions. So I'm going to add that building in here as well. Now, as you can see, my little research center just got built, and we are now trying to discover fishery. Fishery is now unlocked, and that means we can put our peasants to work finally and start getting some luxury resources in these fisheries. I also kind of want to add another peasant home to here and grab this stone over here, because that will allow me to get access to that very important resource. However, I am now starting to wonder if I should do that, because I also have stone available over here. But yes, I am going to do it like that. And this is kind of the puzzle part of this game, because I want to utilize the additional buildings I can build over here for some more peasants. Let's see, where do I build that? Probably over here. And then another sawmill, because there's no such thing as having too much wood and planks. Okay, so at this point we have our first little economy going, and you might be thinking to yourself, okay, is this the entire game? You just stamp down buildings and that's it? Well, to some extent, yes. But I've been burning through my starting capital pretty rapidly, as you can see. And the things I'm placing now were relatively cheap. But pretty much everything that I try to build will cost either 500, 750, 1,000 gold. So that means I can basically build maybe 4 to 8 things, and that's it at this point. So we are going to be relying heavily on that money that is now flowing in. So that means you can't just keep spamming. We also want to start expanding, and in our technology tree, there are some technologies we can pick up later on that will allow us to place down more villages. But in order to do that, you can see we're almost already kind of running out of space over here. Not the end of the world, don't get me wrong, but there's definitely not infinite space to build. So that means we turn back to our knight and we can start it to make some explorations for us. It will start uncovering these tiles. If you can see, these tiles over here are still undiscovered. You can kind of tell how large the map can get if you have a maximum size map, because, well, obviously we were not going to be playing off the table. But generally the map is a little bit smaller than that, so it's not going to be like an infinite expansion. I think based on this scenario there's a limit. We can take another 3 cities over here, another 2 over here, 3 actually, and another 2. So that's a total of 8 more cities that we can build. So we're going to have a total of 9 cities, 11 cities, I mean, which is quite a bit, but that's going to be near the end of the game rather than to start out with. Which means right now I've already built 3 out of my 4 cities, so I have a 4th city to go. But the nice thing is I'm only lacking 1 type of resource at the moment, and, well, 1 main type of resource I should say, because we can actually produce a few more. And that is the last luxury need that we need. We are going to need some wool as well. Now, where am I going to build that 4th city. I think we can build it over here in the corner. We do want to make sure that we leave enough space, but I think between these spaces I have up here, this one can expand kind of in here, so we can take this corner of the island for this city. And I think we should be fine. I could also build another city over here, but yeah, I think I'm gonna stick to this corner right here. As you can see, you need to leave one space between every city, so you can build them to each other. So you can see we are kind of running out of space here already. Now we've done some exploring. I could also just build another city over here, which honestly is super viable, and maybe that might actually be the safe bet. Now in that case, I am going to be building my city center on this sand tile over here, because that leaves the nice green and fertile tiles for all my other buildings. Now some buildings can only be put on green tiles, for example things like potatoes. They don't grow in sand, they don't need to grow in fertile ground. Makes sense. That is something to keep in mind as well. Now this city is going to be dedicated, at least for the moment, to wool that I first need to research, so let me do that. We are going to put down some sheep farms, and with those research we can place down some more peasant villages. Now again, I'm going to put those on the sand because the sheep farms actually do need to be on fertile ground. Ideally, sheep want to be close to a mountain as well. Since we have a mountain here, I might as well use that, because we can make buildings kind of benefit from certain upgrades. For example, we can turn our sheep into mountain goats and then have them get an adjacency bonus if they're next to these mountains. Now these little bonuses are not super important. We actually discovered the bandit. I'll get to that in a moment. But let me slow things down for a moment there. Something happening, all things are happening at the same time. But for example, potato farms can also be benefiting from being next to each other. If you press shift, you can select multiple buildings at the same time, so you don't have to go through them one by one. And you can kind of like optimize your buildings by taking advantage of whatever you have available. For example, we're now also producing some wool over here, which we can also use to benefit the output of our fisheries. So might as well do that, so we have something to spend all that wool on. Now you do need to keep an eye on your resources, because as you can see, for example, we're kind of running low on potatoes. We'll fix that in a moment. But I first want to make sure I also upgrade my lumberjacks by making sure they benefit from their adjacency bonus as well. Okay, so in the meanwhile, we actually found a bandit camp, and we apparently also had our knights take out that camp already, because I now have a bandit in my dungeon. So there is combat in this game, but like I said at the beginning of this game, this is not very challenging or anything like that. It is something to kind of that you have to work around, and you have to defeat some enemies, but they're not going to destroy your villages. They're just going to steal some of your goods. If you let them get extremely out of control, they might be challenging you a little bit. But all in all, it's pretty easy to keep them under control, for example, by researching the light barracks. This allows you to upgrade your knights to give them a few more soldiers to work with. You can also get an additional knight along with that, and between those two knights and their retinue, you should be able to keep pretty much every type of bandit under control, and you can unlock them very early in the game. You can upgrade them later on. You can add some more knights to the mix as well. You can get some stronger soldiers, etc, etc, but honestly, those are just win more abilities rather than necessities in order to survive. What is a necessity to survive is the upgrade to the peasant homes, because this is going to allow us to have more people living in our homes, and that is going to allow us to produce a lot more stuff. Similarly, upgrading the potato farm and the lumberjack is going to be super useful as well, because not only is this going to boost the output by 20% each every time you upgrade, it's kind of like the default on pretty much every building, it'll also give you access to additional upgrades within that building itself. I'm also going to queue up the sawmill for the same reason, and just to show you what I mean, let me go to the lumberjack as an example. So right now I'm using the 15% output bonus because it's right next to another lumberjack, but 15% is not that much. What we can do instead, as soon as we reach a level 2, is have an additional person working in here that is going to boost everything by 50%. So that's quite more substantial than it was before. Some buildings benefit from using specialized resources in order to boost their production, like the quarry that can have scaffolding in place to boost its production by 20%. Oh, there we go. We have the light barracks unlocked. Let's build that in our castle so we can upgrade our soldiers a little bit further. Let's put that in the corner over here because we can't use that thing anyway already. And let's keep the castle out of the way of my villages. So right now I have the maximum amount of cities that I can use at the moment, and that means we need to start looking into how we can upgrade our cities and get to the urban development. Now, honestly, all I need to do is unlock this technology and then go to that. I can build another 3 cities, but I want to make sure I specialize my cities in such a way that I can start making some more complex resources. For example, I want some wheat farms up and running pretty soon as well. That will allow me to make flour and then bread. And that is going to make the more advanced type of worker happy, the guys over here, that are also going to be needed to work in these more advanced buildings. So more advanced people need more advanced stuff, but will allow you to make more advanced production. And that production in turn is going to give us a lot more money. At the same time, we shouldn't neglect our basics, and if you want to know how your cities are kind of doing and how much production you're working with, you can click on these resources over here and it will show you how much you're consuming and how much you're producing. So right now I can see I'm actually consuming more wood than I'm actually producing, so that is a point of attention. You can kind of go by the colors of these things as well. So for example, over here, if we click on the fish, you can see we're producing a lot more than we're actually consuming, so we're fine on that regard. But again, the potatoes, for example, we're consuming more than what we have, so we want to go and fix that. Luckily, I just unlocked the potato farm level 2, so we can work on that right away. Let me click this away for a moment. If I now go to my potato farms, what I can do is not only upgrade them, that is going to cost me some money and resources, but I can also start using bigger fields. This is going to boost the production by 50%, but in order to do that, I'm going to need more people here, but that's where the upgrade to the peasant homes comes in, because if we upgrade these, they will add an additional peasant slot. Now, keep in mind that if we have more peasants, they will require more food and logs and things like that. So there is a balancing act there. And you also want to be a little bit efficient with how many of these building spaces you dedicate to homes, because you can upgrade the homes, but building new homes is cheaper, but you have a limited amount of place for that. So that's kind of like something to optimize around as well. Now, before I start upgrading my potatoes, even though I have the biggest problem in terms of my potato production right now, I am going to wait for the lumberjack level 2 to complete, because it's kind of the same principle. We will be able to put more people in our lumberjacks and also make sure that we upgrade the homes in this city so that we can actually employ people in those lumberjacks. Okie dokie, I upgraded my lumberjacks and employed some additional people in there, and if we now recheck this production, as you can see, we're now producing way more than we need for just consumption. Now remember, this is actually a good thing because logs are being used in pretty much everything we build, so we definitely need to keep a healthy surplus available here, which means I can now start looking towards my potato farms and repeat the same thing over here. Okay, before I defeat them accidentally again, let me show you what happens if you find a bandit camp. Now, this bandit camp was already attacked apparently by one of my knights, but there's only 2 soldiers left in there, and that means we can send, let's see which one of us are stronger. They now have 2 knights. This one has 8 retinue, so that's the largest one. I can send him over to this thing and fight these bandits. Now, he should easily win. He has a strength of 8, while this has a strength of 2. We speed things up a little bit. You can see him moving in, starting to fight with that. Well, there's actually 5 in here, so I guess the hero counts as well. Speed things up a little bit, and there you see we have defeated them, and now we cleared out all the bandits. Like I said, not a very challenging or hard game, but of course as the bandits grow in number and grow in strength, it will be getting harder and harder. As long as you can keep on top of them, shouldn't be a problem. If you click on your cities, there's a lot of other stuff that you can tell about them. So for example, right now you can see my traders are being overloaded, which is why I'm upgrading my city. So we have an additional trader. Hopefully that will help with that a little bit. The cities also have their own gold. You can see that up on top of here as well. Each of the residents in the city is going to generate some gold. So you will generally see this increasing over time as they buy and trade with each other. Of course, some of that money is going to flow into your pockets, but the rest is going to stay within the cities. It's a kind of like a way to tell how well a city is doing. If you see a city really dwindling on gold, it's just buying stuff but not actually exporting stuff, so it's not contributing to the economy. So you probably want to start producing something useful in that city. Typically it doesn't happen that often, but especially when you build a new city, that can happen. Now if needed, you can donate some of your money to a city to help it out, but generally that is not a problem. You can even steal money from your cities, but that will make your citizens very unhappy. However, it can definitely speed up the progress of the game, so it's sometimes worth doing if you're not feeling like sitting around waiting for your money to flow in. Anyway, we have a nice little stable economy right now, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and unlock a new set of cities for us to build. Now, there is a very good argument to be put towards just upgrading what you already have. It's just not the most interesting gameplay, because I want to show you what the more advanced cities and kind of like the economy looks like once you start expanding more extensively. Another really nice thing that we can unlock now is the cargo upgrade, which makes exporting things between our cities a lot more efficient. And of course we can start producing some wheat if we want to. However, I'm actually gonna go for the stone toolmaker first, because we're going to need that in order to unlock the coal mine. Okay, so we've unlocked the coal maker along with the stone tool maker, and that means we can start unlocking some of these nice looking coal deposits. We have gold and we have iron over here, so basically all the advanced mining resources that we need on this nice little island over there. So let's place a city down there. And in order to make use of that coal, I can't actually mine the iron or the gold just yet. We're going to need to place down some workers. And these are the more advanced guys, so these are not peasants, these are workers. And apparently, didn't I unlock these coal yet? Nope, I didn't, because we actually need to unlock the toolmaker first. That's why I was doing all of this. I actually just forgot. We have some room in Nuremberg over here. This is where our stone is being produced, so we can place down another one of these workers. Let's put them down over there, and let's have their little home in between, so we can draw straight from the quarry over there. In the meanwhile, I'm just going to queue up some of the upgrades for the more basic buildings that we have, so we can upgrade them if and when we need it. I'm not going to spam all those upgrades necessarily, because that all costs money and resources, and slow and steady is typically the best way in this particular game, in my experience. However, regardless of slow and steady, look at all the activity that we already have going in our small villages right now, and this is only going to get crazier and crazier as we go. Also, this is probably a good moment to say thank you to all the people that have subscribed to the channel in the last couple of weeks. There were quite a few of you. Some of you actually decided to become a member as well, which is very much appreciated. And there were quite a few nice recommendations that you guys made in the post that I made a couple of days ago, asking you for some recommendations for new games to play. So all of that, thank you, thank you, thank you. It is very much appreciated. Okay, the stone tool maker is up and running, and we can do a little bit of a trick here. So we can activate the industrial zone, which will boost all the adjacent buildings next to it that have a request for those tools. And actually the quarry itself can request tools to boost its output by 70%, so that's massive. As you can see, it's almost producing 12 on every cycle now, so that's awesome. And a very good way to make sure we have enough stone to actually boost the production for our stone tool maker itself. Which also means it's now finally time to start working on our coal mine, and while we're at it, we might as well start to produce some iron and gold as well. And there we go, we have some coal in production now, which means we can start doing some more of the advanced research. Specifically what I'm looking for is the mill as well as the bakery, so we can start producing some of the luxury goods for these guys, because if we check out their homes, they are going to need some bread and some clothing. Apparently the other guys are running around naked or something, I'm not sure, but we're going to have to work on that. In order to prepare for our farming village, let's make a new village all the way over here in the corner. Once again, I'm going to place my village center on the sand. Also helps that it's closest to my network over here, so that's probably a smart place to put it. Let's see, we can then start building some wheat farms, probably 2 of them, probably do. And that means we are also going to need somewhere for my people to live, so 2 of these peasant farms will do the trick. Now, I actually need these farms up and running before I can research the mill, because that needs wheat by itself as well. So, you know, it's kind of nicely chained together and helps you guide yourself through the game by building things in the correct order. In the meanwhile, I'm also going to pick up some more upgrades. The advanced provisioner and scouting capability on my knights is going to be useful, but most importantly, I'm going to upgrade the speed of my traders once more. There was actually another upgrade for that as well over here. So more speeding, and more speed means more trades, means more money. Oh, and in case you were wondering, you can actually build bridges yourself as well. So if I go to the basics, there's a bridge thing right over here. It does cost a little bit of money. But for example, I could say, let me build a bridge. Oh, it helps if I pick a viable target. Let me build a bridge like this. And that means I can now easily get to the other side of this water. Okay, I have a bit of a fish problem, but I have now upgraded my fisheries to consume planks instead. And that's going to produce the production by 50% rather than the 20 we were getting from the wool. I also built an additional fishery over here in Mulkirch. So that is going to be using the coal instead. That is going to reduce the production time by 10, which is a boost of about 35% in terms of the production speed. And that is in fact going to be coming from over here, so that gives me something to do with the coal, and that also makes sure these cities are going to be trading with each other, so you know, more trading, more money. Meanwhile, I also now have access to the mill as well as the tailor, and I'm just completing some of the other random research upgrades over here as well. But that means I can start specializing some of my towns. So this town over here is producing the wheat. So we want to add in another worker home over here. Let's put it on the beach once more. And let's see, we want to place a mill right next to the wheat farms so that we can start producing some additional stuff here. Let's make sure we have them benefiting from each other, being next to each other. Did we upgrade the peasant homes here yet? No, we didn't. Also, I don't have money for that, so I'll just have to wait a moment. While I'm working on the research for my bakery, I just realized I am underproducing some of those potatoes as well. It's cutting it very close. But I can actually switch my potatoes now from the bigger fields to the stone tools. That will boost their production even further, but it also requires less workers. So that means I can actually add in another, not wheat farm, that's not what I want to do, another potato farm. Potato, potato, there we go. And that means for the same amount of workers, I have way more production now, especially if I also put this to stone tools. I'll need to keep an eye on how much tools I'm using, but as you can see, I'm producing a little bit more than I'm currently using, assuming I have all my stone workers put to use. So I think we should be fine for the moment. Okay, so I have some money again, and we have some building to do. So let's see, we should probably build another worker home over here in this town. Oh, I can't actually do that, so let's start upgrading that, because I want to build my bakery over there. In the meanwhile, do I have some space here? Yeah, I have plenty of space here. This is where my wool is currently being produced. Let's see, we can actually put fences on our wool production as well. That again requires some less workers on those specific things. So we just freed up 2 more workers, which I'm not entirely sure yet what I want to do with, honestly. I could just put some more workers to work in a logging camp. That would help with some of that logging distribution over here. But the main thing I want to achieve here is, of course, building another worker home. Let's put that over there. And then add in, where is it? There it is, the tailor. That is going to make some of that wool into clothing for my people and make them happy and earn me some money on top of that. Meanwhile, Mulkirch over here has now upgraded. We have a healthy income, which is not as easy to achieve as you might think, honestly. But there we go. We should now be able to build a bakery over here. Now, let's see. Where are we going to put that? Probably right next to the mill. Let me double check. Did I build the worker home for that already? No. As you can see, we have 2 workers available. And we are about to have 4 slots for them. So let's make sure we add in a worker home as well. All of that clothing production on top of all the wool I need to make my peasants happy does mean that I'm currently running a bit low on wool. So I am going to use some of those freed up people that I have. Right? No, I don't have freed up people, but I can upgrade the homes I currently have, so that's not a problem. Let's add in another one of these nice little farms for the wool. And then in order to make sure we have people to work there, let's upgrade some of our homes. I do need the peasant homes. Let's see, where's the other ones? Do I only have a single peasant home in this village? No, I don't. Where's the other one? Oh, there's the other one. There we go. If you press shift, it's really easy to find them again. There we go, so we can upgrade them and so we have people to actually work here. And there we go, we have a pretty stable economy right now. We have a huge income, so that's nice, because I'm gonna build my last city. Well, not my last city, but my last city out of my current set that I have available. And that one is going to come over here. Now, what I'm going to do with this city is place down a clay pit, because that's the last resources that we need. We need some clays that we can then turn into bricks if we have that technology, but in order to unlock that technology, I'm going to need those clay pits up and running. And of course, that also means we need some workers to go along with that. I also have some more fish over here, so I'm actually going to let us have some peasants and put some peasants to work in this fishery. And I will probably also want to build another... Well, I'm spending money anyway. I'm like splurging right now. Feels good, I have to admit. So let's build another bridge over here so we can make this whole trade route a little bit more efficient. You can see how slow it goes if you don't have a trade route available. And interconnect some of these roads up here and up here. There we go. That should make all the trading a bit more efficient and make it more interesting to look at as well. Actually add in another route down here. And while we're at it, might as well just add in a route down here. Costs a lot of money, honestly. Splurging, like I said. But look at how nice all of this looks. We have a couple more islands, but we also have some more cities to build later on. So I'm sure we're going to be utilizing that. With the clay pit in action, we can add another worker home to mix, and we can start turning that clay into bricks. Bricks are going to be used for pretty much all the advanced upgrades, so this is a very important resource to have. And that kind of also wraps up the middle part of this technology tree. I mean, we have plenty of upgrades to unlock, but we have every single thing that we can produce here actually in production as well, which means it's now time to start unlocking the more advanced guys, the citizens. Now, these guys are going to need very advanced resources to be happy, but they can also make some pretty expensive things that will bring a lot of stuff into our coffers, a lot of gold into our coffers, and will allow us to expand our cities once again, with a total number of 5 more cities to make all of that stuff. So yeah, that's going to be awesome. That said, I don't want to spoil the entire game for you. As you can see, all my cities are now level 2, 3. You can go all the way up to 5, I believe. And yeah, there's still plenty of island to explore. And this is just one of the maps. Like I said, there is a campaign. There's a lot of custom maps that you can play. If this looks interesting to you at all, this is what you get. And you might have to do some bandit hunting every now and then, but other than that, it is really enjoyable, really fun, and I'll look at the money flowing in now. So the money is not really a problem as long as you keep in touch of your supply and demand. Looking at the length of this video so far, I think this is where we're going to end it. Let me know in the comments, is this type of game at all interesting to you? I imagine that there's quite a few of you that feel that you need a bit more challenge in your games, which I can understand, but I do want to show some of these more casual games every now and then, because I feel it's nice to kind of shift between more of the complex stuff and every now and then just pick up something easy that is just comfortable to play and doesn't really require all that much brain power. I do think this game is pretty enjoyable, all the little kind of like optimizing things that you can do, optimizing what upgrades you're picking up, kind of looking at your supply and demand, trying to keep that balanced, all of that is really fun. It's not too punishing if you don't get it right the first time around. Given enough time, you can repair everything, but it will definitely go a lot smoother and easier if you do optimize things, so it's not a brain dead game either. Anyway, like I said, let me know in the comments, and if you are still here, you are awesome, and I do hope to catch you in the next one.